One of the most interesting arcs of Dragon Ball Super, for most fans, is the Tournament of Power, not only because of Goku's anticipation being what triggered it, but also the deadly stakes and the slew of new characters and gods we were introduced to. But one part of that amazing event was sadly missing from the anime. Let's dive into how a moment from the manga could have made the arc even more hype if it was left in. It's all Goku's fault. Sort of. The arc starts with Goku wondering about the tournament he was so excited for and why there's been no updates yet. Also, he's been fighting less lately and feels like he needs some practice. As we know, he's a pretty hyperactive guy who loves to fight strong opponents whenever he has the chance. The problem is he doesn't realize the depth of Zeno's power and what it could mean if they start that tournament. But Goku's never been someone who worries about consequences anyway. And long story short, Goku ignores Beerus' warnings, with Whis chiming in as well. Our impulsive Saiyan has access to his super tech that sends him directly to the palace in space where Zeno resides after all. Goku's goal is to remind Zen-chan and the future one of the tournament he was so looking forward to. But even with Beerus explaining that Zeno's purity is what makes him so dangerous, Goku doesn't get it. In fact, I'd argue that Goku's passion for facing strong fighters travels along the same path, making him a similar threat, just on a different scale. When logic doesn't work, Beerus considers taking Goku out himself to avoid any large-scale disasters for their universe. But instead, Goku's childish behavior gets the best of him, and off he goes. Here's a little thought: why does Whis try to stop Goku? Is it just because of what the Earth has to offer him, or is he kind of attached to the group of friends he's come to know so well? It could be a mix of both, but it's interesting to consider. As it turns out, the two Zens were planning to destroy some universes before Goku arrived because they thought there were too many. Not to mention they had been playing with the multiverse over 100 times already. They wanted to keep solely the strongest ones. Basically, the ones that they think haven't grown enough would be eliminated immediately. At least with the tournament, the universes had more of a chance to keep from being erased without an opportunity to fight for their continued existence. In a way, Goku's appearance and reminder about that option gave the weaker universes some extra time. Plus, Zeno thinks it would be a really fun event to watch after having seen the Tournament of Destroyers. Preparation and presentations. The attendant to the Zenchans is called the Grand Priest, and not only is he the same race as the attendants that overlook the gods of destruction and teach them how to become strong, but he's also their father. That should already give you an idea of how much power the Grand Priest has. The Grand Priest says he will notify all the Supreme Kais about the location and date for the expected tournament. However, the manga takes a more intense route. The Grand Priest makes a formal announcement for all the Kais and gods of destruction to gather at Zeno's palace at once, inciting worry and fear for them. It's like being called to the principal's office without even knowing what you've done wrong. Meanwhile, the anime has Goku meeting up with the Kais, along with Beerus and Whis, when the Grand Priest appears suddenly and reveals some important details, like the fact that it's not only the mortals in the universes that will be erased, but the gods of destruction and Kais as well. The angel guides are safe, though. I guess it helps that their father works for the two Zens. Speaking of which, we're introduced to many other gods of destruction through this arc, as well as a god in training who goes by the name of Toppo. In the manga, the Grand Priest suggests an exhibition match between the gods of destruction since one of the Zens comes from the future. Something similar happens in the anime, but it's because the gods are told to fight to keep the Zens entertained until the real tournament begins. It also happens at a different moment than when the Xeno Expo does, which was only an hour after the Grand Priest dropped by the Supreme Kai's realm, but we'll get to that in a bit. Prior to the real tournament, the gods of destruction are more than happy to prove their power before the other universes. Not only that, but there's three in particular that step up to create some action for the audience. Iraq, Liquir, and Iwan from universes 5, 1, and 8 come forward, not only to prove their prowess, but as a way to test the stage before the more permanent events begin. Permanent in the sense that universes will be erased as soon as they're eliminated from the fighting. Unfortunately, the Zens don't really care or say much, so it's just wasted effort on their part. Not only that, but the Grand Priest makes the three gods clean up the ring to use again afterwards. And let's not forget the exciting exhibition match that follows with Goku, Gohan, and Buu fighting the trio of danger in the Null Realm, or the World of Void as it's also called. It definitely holds the Zen's attention better, even if the two universes were chosen for their weak average strength levels. There's also an unexpected matchup between Toppo of Universe 11 and Goku in both versions of the arc, with some pretty drastic changes. In the anime, Toppo's the one who presents the challenge to fight Goku, and it's accepted. It even almost leads to one of them being killed, since they take their bout a little too seriously, but of course it's stopped by the Grand Priest, so some of the action can remain in the actual tournament. While in the manga, Toppo's brought along with his universe's god of destruction to observe and listen in at the high-level gathering, and that's when he's made to fight against Goku, the only other mortal at the meeting that the Zenchans called. This only happens because of the mess that comes beforehand that we'll touch on in a second. Back to Toppo, he agrees to face Goku, and we know our Saiyan is always ready to fight. So they do, and as it happens, Goku's launched out of the ring and loses. A slightly less dramatic outcome, but certainly more clean-cut as to the victor. On the other hand, even Top admits that he was beginning to struggle against Goku's transformations, so if he hadn't countered the Saiyan at that point, perhaps Goku would have won. But it's also possible that Goku wasn't taking the exhibition match very seriously. For the anime version, they probably wanted to keep more of the mystery by having Toppo display his true strength in the following battle, rather than the exhibition part, especially since he's such a strong opponent, second only to Jiren in his universe. Then again, the Grand Priest wouldn't have stopped the fight if his worries were unfounded. So maybe Goku's careless decision to start up this tournament pushed the Justice Fighter into gear. Not to mention that Goku made some unnecessary comments about his uniform. Vegeta and the tournament. This may not be part of the tournament exactly, but the fact that Bulma is pregnant with a second child seems to cause some friction at first. For one, Vegeta wouldn't go train with Goku where Whis and Beerus are. If he had gone, perhaps he would have been able to stop his fellow Saiyan from pressing his button and beginning this whole deadly tournament. Or maybe Vegeta would have helped him distract Beerus, because let's be real, he may have changed, but he's still very competitive. On the other hand, Vegeta wasn't intending to participate regardless because he wanted to wait for Bulma to give birth to their daughter. Whis, having picked up on the importance of that event, bypassed it altogether by getting Bulma's child out instantly and without pain. That way Vegeta could participate, and it's clear he wanted to. Saiyans can't refuse a good fight. Let's not forget that he wants to ensure his universe's survival, being a father of two now. And Whis, despite having nothing to lose or gain from the challenge, wants to keep this universe alive, probably because of how good the food is on Earth. If someone as strong as Vegeta wasn't part of their universe's fighters, they might have struggled a bit more. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that if Bulma wasn't pregnant, some things could have gone differently, but it seems like Whis made sure everything went according to his own plans. Ultimate proof of power. Getting back to the tournament itself, what else has changed from the manga version? Well, the stakes are not only higher for the mortals in their respective universes. At the meeting with the gods of destruction, a really tense and formal affair, they're told if they don't participate in an impromptu battle royale, they'll be terminated on the spot. This not only creates a more stress-filled tone, but much more insight with regards to what the Zens and the Grand Priest are willing to do at a moment's notice. It also helps to further explain why Beerus was so mad at Goku's impulsive decision to trigger this event, and why he was on the verge of killing Goku just for pressing the button. The threat gets the gods into gear, sure, but the knowledge that Beerus's mortal is the one at fault just pushes the other universe's gods to want to gang up on our poor cat god. The match does start off with Beerus struggling to keep everyone back, but it's still a battle royale at the end of the day, so it turns into what it was meant to be. Everyone fighting, all at once, in a massive mixture of godly attacks and blows too fast to see. This ends up confusing the two Xenos since the fight is going too quickly and at a high level to properly follow. That is, until it's down to the last two fighters. As you can probably guess, it's Beerus versus Quitella, the cat and the rat, natural enemies in the animal kingdom too. This is most definitely done on purpose by the creator as a joke, seeing as many of the gods of destruction have animal themes. Just as these last two gods still in the running prepare to unleash their final moves, they're abruptly and unexpected stopped by someone. The Grand Priest pops up instantly with not a hair out of place or a drop of sweat on him, and he stops both of them with a single finger pressed against their fists. One finger. Does this sound familiar? Well, it should, since Whis did the exact same thing when he was getting in between Goku and Vegeta's fight in their universe. Like father, like son, I guess. But at the same time, the fact that the Grand Priest is doing this to gods of destruction rather than mortals, even if they're powerful Saiyans, makes it hundreds of times more impressive. Kind of interesting to cut this scene out, considering they had a similar one earlier on. This is then followed by the gods being banned from participating in the tournament entirely due to the Zenchans not enjoying their match or being able to understand what they're doing to each other. Plus, it would cause too much stuff to have to be cleaned up or repaired. A lot of other things are changed in the tournament itself, but why cut out such an epic scene from the Grand Priest? We already know he's a powerful being since he watches over the Xenos, so it would have been really memorable to see him treating gods of destruction like mere mortals too.